You're not considering that the reason why so many women are choosing to engage in casual sex less is because of the violent culture around hookups that your fucking apps have created. What is wrong with you?
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drosbeck, co-hosted by the one and only Miss Mango, the gooey girl. And today, me and Goo are in chipper fucking moods, okay? We're in chipper moods because I just found out a mere 3 hours ago that I'm going to be a foster mom, which means Mango's going to be a foster sister. Oh my God, sisterhood. It's crazy. I am so excited, but I just got approved to foster some kittens. So I've got 2 8-week-old baby kittens coming my way tomorrow afternoon. I'm so fucking excited. It's not even funny. That is why this episode is going to be a day late, because I randomly had to scramble to get my apartment ready to house 2 more babies. 2 more babies in this house. Oh my God. I've never been more excited in my life. 2 baby girls. 2 baby girls. Mango's going to have sisters. Their names are Chirp and Roar, and they're 8 weeks old. And oh my God, it's going to be so good for my mental health. It's going to do huge things for me mentally to be able to be a little temporary mom for some babies that need help, some babies that need a home before we find them their forever homes. I just think that fostering could be a wonderful thing for me and a wonderful thing for Mango. I think that she would kind of love some buddies too, but not all the time, right? I fear that Mango likes being the only child. I fear that she wants buddies sometimes, but not all the time. So I think fostering is going to do the trick for the both of us. Of course, the kittens will be kept separate for the first little bit that they're here. And then we'll see if I can slowly introduce them, unless they get adopted super quick. I don't know how fast these placements usually last. But anyways, gonna have 2 little kittens, and I'm so friggin' excited about it. I'm having such a wonderful day today. Woke up, laid in bed, listened to the new Billie album, which, first of all, Billie Eilish is a fucking beast. She's literally fucking insane. Everything that she and Phineas do is just immediate smash hit, immediate banger, immediate bops. I listened to the whole album all the way through this morning and was like reading the lyrics as I listened, and I was just laying there like, does it get better than this? Like, it might be my favorite Billie. Off first listen, genuinely, might be my favorite Billie. I think this is her best album. Lunch, obviously, first listen, is my favorite song. Another huge win for bisexuals everywhere. I could eat that girl for lunch. Yeah, we could. We could, and I do, and I will. You know, like it was really just a manifestation. It was setting the vibe of the summer. I feel like Billie just declared this summer a gay summer. She said, straight relationships, give it a rest. Straight relationships, be quiet. All right. Have some shame, will you? She said, you're only allowed to make out with women. And I said, that was honestly my plan. So we're fully in alignment, bestie. Don't you worry. When I heard lunch, I was like, yeah, okay. This is the vibe. And if you get me to queer line dancing and you teach me a dance to lunch, you don't want to know what's going to happen next. I love it. It's so fun. The whole album top to bottom. But yeah, first listen, lunch was just my vibe, just what I wanted to hear. It's going to be a gay summer. What great news. I love that the bisexuals are winning so fucking hard lately. Between Billie's album and Challengers, I'm really like, the bisexuals are so rich right now. Like, I've got the Midas touch right now simply because I am bisexual. I made a huge mistake, actually. In my excitement of sharing the good news, the good bisexual news, I told my whole family to go see Challengers because they should. And I tell my family to go see all these movies. I took them to see The Iron Claw in December, and they were like, oh my God, it's so fun to go to the movie theaters. We haven't been in years, and now we just had such a good time. And so then they were like, start giving us movie recommendations when movies are in theaters and we'll go see them. So I've been giving them recommendations over the last few months, and they've gone to the movie theaters together. And they've liked all my recommendations so far. They loved Poor Things. I was like, taste. Thank God my family has fucking taste. Not everyone does. Thank God they do. And then Challengers came out, and I was like, I don't know if they're going to love Challengers the way that I love Challengers. I don't know if they are like the target demo the way that I am like perfectly crafted to be the target demo of Challengers. Hi, baby. Mango keeps looking at me. I love this girl so much. I could literally scream. Anyways, my parents and my grandma went to go see Challengers, and when they get out of the movie, they all are texting me different things. But I've never seen a group of people more confused on what they just watched. I was like, what the fuck are you guys confused about? Okay, I might spoil Challengers a little bit right now, so if you don't want to hear what I'm about to say, skip to the next chapter. I'm not going to purposely say anything, but I'm talking about Challengers now. So skip this part if you don't want to hear it. But they get out of the movie, and they text me. The first text I see in my phone is a text from my grandma, like, so who won the match? I was like, Nanny, what? And then I go, there's a paragraph from my mom being like, I didn't like the ending of that movie. I'm so confused. Who won the match? Also, I hated everyone. They sucked so much. And just listing off all these things she didn't like about each of the characters. And then she was just like, I'm confused. I didn't like it. And I was like, within this one text message, you've summarized 2 of my pet peeves. Great, Mom. Thanks for that. You just pet peeved me off twice. 2 of my pet peeves when people are talking about movies is when somebody says, I don't get it. I didn't like it. I'm confused. I didn't like it. Being confused or not understanding a movie is not a good reason to dislike it, in my opinion. But also I'm the type of person, like, I love experimental cinema. Challengers is not experimental, but I'm just saying, cinema that asks questions and leaves them unanswered, that's like my favorite kind of cinema. I kind of love when things are very, very metaphorical and are like, it requires a lot of audience participation to understand what's going on. Those are my favorite kinds of movies. So the fact that anybody could watch a movie and be like, I don't get it, I'm pissed off. When I have so many questions when a movie ends and I'm like, oh my God, I need to do like a 3-hour deep dive on Reddit to understand everything. That is the most fun to me. I don't understand why people are like, I didn't get every single thing. It wasn't laid out to me on a silver platter, therefore I didn't like the movie. Bad reason to dislike a movie, in my opinion. Do your research. Look into it. Have some fun. Indulge deeper in the piece of art beyond when you leave the theater. Doesn't that, it's so much more fun rather than being like, this is a piece of art that exists within the 2 hours that I watch it and then it leaves my brain and I never think about it again. Isn't it more exciting to be like, this piece of art exists and it will continue to exist once I leave the theater? I'm going to keep thinking about it. I'm going to keep asking questions. I don't know. I think that's more fun. So that's number 1. I hate when people are like, I'm confused and therefore I didn't like it. Bad reason to not like it. Second thing is when people are like, all the characters are bad people. How am I supposed to like this movie? Which I've talked about on this podcast before. I'm like, you weren't supposed to like them. They aren't supposed to be just like good people. Movies would be so boring if every character was just like a genuinely good person. Like, these are complex, deeply flawed characters. That is what makes them interesting. That is why we have a plot. That is why we have a movie. I cannot. Like, you don't have to like the characters to like the movie. What a ridiculous thought. So my mom pissed me off twice in a row when I read this paragraph. But I was like perplexed that they were so hung up on not knowing who won in the end and that not being totally clear to them. I was like, guys, this movie isn't about tennis. What's not clicking? Like, The first text message I sent back to my mom was, "Have you ever heard of bisexuality?" Which this is a question that I've asked my family on many occasions. I'm always bullying them for this because I just think that, I don't know, my parents are funny. I feel like they've never understood bisexuality. I've had to explain it to them many times over the last decade, and it's not for lack of trying. I think they're very accepting people. They're just also very confused and have lots of questions, which I think is at least moderately funny because they did raise a trans child before the conversation of transness was so like mainstream and talked about. My brother transitioned in like 2012, 2013. And my whole family was immediately like, yeah, we get it, from the get-go, accepting as hell of my brother. It was never an issue growing up. But then it was like when I was in college and started talking more about bisexuality, my parents were always like, explain this. And it was never within the context of me. I've actually never had an explicit conversation with my family about me being bisexual. Not intentionally. The same way I handled it on the internet, it's how I handled it in my real life too. Like I just started saying things. I never told my family that I was bi. I just started talking about going on dates with women. So they know. It would be crazy if they didn't know. If they were just like, you go on dates with women. I just thought that was a straight thing. I'm like, they for sure know that I'm bi. But yeah, the amount of times I've had to explain it to them. So anyways, my first response to my mom when she sent me all the Challenger stuff was to be like, have you considered that bisexuality was like a major theme of this movie? They hadn't considered any of this. I had to explain so much to them, which is crazy because Challengers to me isn't even a movie that really requires that much explanation. I think there's a lot to be discussed, right? Like something that I have been very interested in discussing and unpacking is the I Told Ya t-shirt, the significance of it, and like the fact that both Tashi and Patrick wear it, and they both wear it within the same scene where like Tashi's wearing it before they have sex and then Patrick is wearing it after they have sex. They swap shirts when they get dressed again. Anyways, I'm interested in talking about the movie from like those perspectives and talking about specific things that happen in the movie and how it ties back to other things that happen, to what happens in the end, to just like the general overall character dynamics and their motivators, and how they change or don't change throughout the movie. I have a lot to say about that in particular. But the movie itself isn't like hard to understand, right? Like it's not a confusing movie. Sparks a lot of conversation, but it's not like I didn't need Challengers to be explained to me. My parents did. They didn't get it. They were very hung up on who won this tennis match. I was like, guys, I don't think this is a movie about tennis. Tennis is in the movie. I don't think this movie was about tennis, though. Have you considered that? And yeah, so they weren't huge fans. My dad seemed the most like receptive to it. I still have to have a more in-depth conversation with him about it because he seemed like he had the most to say in response to it. But my mom and grandma were like, who won the match? What the hell? And then I saw Chris Fleming did like a comedy bit about this on Instagram. They were like, I fear that I'm about to get a phone call from my parents like, Chris, have you seen Challenger? Oh, geez. They suck, don't they? I was like, I watched this reel like, oh my God, that is literally verbatim the conversation that I had with my parents after they watched this movie. So I don't know. Maybe it was my bad recommending that my 55-year-old parents and 80-year-old grandmother went to go see Challengers. Maybe that's on me. But, c'est la vie. You live and you learn. They just didn't get it. They weren't there. They were watching a tennis movie. They were watching the US Open and were so deeply confused that they didn't get the ending that they wanted. So, you know what? That's on me. That's the last time I recommend a bisexual movie to my fucking parents. I knew that they weren't going to totally get it. Anyways, they're funny. They are friggin' funny, aren't they? I'm going to have to teach them another thing or two when I go home this summer. Attention all residents of Lover Girls Worldwide, I present to you our next collaboration opportunity. Yes, everyone cheer and scream and shout. Our first collaboration, of course, the Lover Girls Worldwide playlist, the playlist which answers the question, what song sounds like falling in love? What does falling in love sound like to you? Which was a smash hit success. Everyone loved it. It is one of my favorite playlists. I listen to it almost every day, and submissions for that playlist are still open. They're listed in the description of every episode of the podcast. Just because you submit it doesn't mean it'll make it. I am the one that ultimately has the final say there. But if you have an answer to the question, feel free to submit it to the Lover Girls Worldwide submission inbox. Now, we're starting another playlist. We're moving on, right? We've got the love playlist, Lover Girls Worldwide, yes. Now I want to move us into our next phase, which is the yearning playlist. Yearning Girls Worldwide. We're here, we're yearning, we're craving, we're wanting, we're longing, we're missing, we're here. We're sitting in it. We need a playlist for it. Now, I think there can be some overlap between love vibes and yearn vibes, but there are like clear differentiators. The example that I was using for my friends of like a song that I think falls into both and then a song that I think only falls into one, a song that I think falls into both is Cowboy Gangster Politician by Goldie Boutillier. Maybe that's how you say her name. That's my best guess. I'm so sorry if that's not how you pronounce it. But Cowboy Gangster Politician was a song that I added to Lover Girls Worldwide. And it's a song that, to me, basically gives the vibe of like, I'm falling in love with this person and there's nothing I can do about it. And it may not be right. And it might not be the best thing for me. But I'm here and I am so hopelessly in love. Give the song a listen. Go read the lyrics. To me, it's a song that gives both love vibes and yearning vibes, because you're stuck in this in-between space of like knowing that you want someone but maybe you shouldn't want them, they're not good for you, and you're like, it's the push and pull, the yearning, the longing, the idealizing, but also, you know, knowing that it is complicated. I said before when we made the Lover Girls playlist that I would accept complicated love songs, that they all had to be love songs, they couldn't be breakup songs, but that I like a complicated love song. You know, I love something with a little bit of juice, a little bit of something going on there. So that's an example of a song that I think can work for both. Could be on the Lover Girls playlist, could be on the Yearning Girls playlist. I might put it on the Yearning Girls as well. We'll just have it live on both. An example of a song that I think is pure yearning is Animal by Neon Trees. Animal by Neon Trees is pure yearning. I think that's probably my first submission, my first choice for like what song is the best for the yearning, the longing, the wanting, the needing, all of that, all of those feelings. Animal by Neon Trees is crazy. It goes fucking insane. Oh, I want some more. Oh, what are you waiting for? So good. So good. So those are two examples of like the range, right? You can submit songs to the Yearning playlist that are already on the Lover Girls playlist, because I think there can be overlap. But I want to ground us, firmly plant us in the yearning. So submissions for Yearning Girls Worldwide are open. I am linking that submission box in the description down below. We've got 3 different submission boxes now, so just be clear which one you're submitting to. They will all obviously be labeled. We've got the Lover Girls submission box, the Yearning Girls submission box, and then the podcast submission box where you submit your stories and advice requests and all of that. These are 3 different submission boxes. They are all clearly labeled, though. So be sure you're in the right submission box when you're submitting your songs for review. I look forward to creating this for you. I will be able to publish the first draft of said playlist by the time next week's episode comes out. So stay tuned. We're working on it, and it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a huge fucking banger for us. So Godspeed and good luck. I hope your song gets chosen. Bumble, what in the sweet fuck is going on? I have been dying to sit here on this couch and talk to you guys about the Bumble rebrand nonsense that has gone on, because I have so many questions. I have so many questions for every person that works at Bumble, past, present, and future. Like, in my brain, after seeing this marketing rollout for this rebrand that they've done, I'm in my head like, this company must be made up of people that have never used a dating app in their life. This app has to be full of people that have never been on Bumble, full of people that have actually never had to date in the modern era. This app must be made by people that got married, met their partner, just sweet circumstance, sweet coincidences at a fucking barbecue in 93. Okay, they all married their mom's best friend's nephew. Like, none of them had to date in the modern era. None of them had to date using dating apps. I don't believe that any person that worked at Bumble during the duration of time that this marketing campaign was being produced, I don't believe that any of the people that worked on this campaign have dated using dating apps before. I just don't believe it. You guys are wild. You guys are wild and crazy, but you give me stuff to talk about it, so I love you for that, bestie. Okay, this Bumble rebrand. First of all, they started off by deleting everything on their Instagram, really amping this up. The next phase of dating is here. You've been waiting for it. You're sick of the apps as they are now. Let's strap in and get ready for something new. You know, here we are. We're restless. We're demanding that we switch up how dating is done. And Bumble maybe will be the ones to do it. They won't. They won't. And we know they won't now. But, you know, they had us for a second. They were going to do this rebrand. They're going to roll out something new. First of all, big difference here. Bumble has long been the app where women have to make the first move, which I was never a huge fan of. I never understood why Bumble was marketed as being like the more feminist and like women forward dating app, because I was like, I mean, I don't know what universe we're living in where taking all of the responsibility to communicate and show up away from men and putting it onto women is progressive. I never understood that positioning. I think largely Bumble just ends up attracting a bunch of men that don't want to put effort into dating or into talking to people. It's an app where men show up and they just swipe and wait for messages to come in, and women have to be in the trenches sending everyone a thoughtful message. And most of them don't even get responses because most people just use dating apps as a way to like collect affection and attention to fill their egos momentarily so they can feel better about themselves instead of actually working on their self-esteem issues. But I digress. With this Bumble rebrand, Bumble is now an app where anybody can talk first, and it's not just women. Huge. Really reinventing the wheel here, Bumble. Thank you for that. Famously, other apps that do this work way better. I'm being so sarcastic right now. This changes almost nothing. Cool. Cool. Great. Awesome. We'll come back to that because they've also updated their like relationship types, which I think is interesting. The real mess is plastered on billboards all across the country now for millions of people to see. Because with this rebrand, Bumble decided they were going to put up some billboards talking about celibacy. So they put a few up that say different variations of a vow of celibacy is not the answer. They have another one that says thou shalt not give up on dating and become a nun. But most of them say something in regards to like a vow of celibacy is not the answer. You guys have sincerely lost your fucking minds. Me at the Bumble marketing department. Have any of you used your own application? Just quick show of hands. How many of you have used dating apps for a considerable amount of time? Huh? Any of you? I'm starting to doubt that any of you have because this is crazy. This is insane. My first thought when I saw these billboards was just like, it's so clear that these apps are suffering, that they are having major declines in their user base. I'm assuming a major decline in the women on their apps. I think that the difference of men to women on these apps is getting like much starker. And now I feel like they've essentially showed their hand. in a lot of ways. So, are you guys admitting that your app was never doing what you said it was doing? That it was never really an app for helping people find love, helping people date, helping empower women to make the first move and be in the driver's seat of their dating lives? Are you admitting that it was never that and it was always a hookup app? That you always needed people to be on your app seeking fleeting sexual relationships at a rapid rate in order for your app to stay afloat? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what I'm learning? Oh no, the digital pimping app ran out of women. Awesome. Not making enough money off your premium subscriptions anymore? That's crazy. That's crazy. So they've been a hookup app since day one, and right now they're really showing their cards because guess what? Celibate people date. Yes, celibate people do have dating lives. Celibate people do go on dates. Celibate people are on Bumble. But I guess that's the thing. They're not a dating app. This is a hookup app that stays alive, hoping that you get sucked onto the treadmill, the never-ending treadmill of short-lasting casual relationships that you come back for again and again. They hope that you get sucked into it so that you'll stay on this app long term. They don't want you to actually meet someone so that you get off the app. This isn't about dating. This is about sex. This is about promoting having many fleeting casual relationships because that is the type of interactions that keep these apps afloat. But they're going to market it as a dating app that's empowering to women. Women are making that first move and really curating what a good dating life looks like for them. Shut the hell up. Yes, we have entered an era where a lot of women are choosing not to have casual sex anymore. I actually do not know how these dating apps didn't anticipate this happening when the hookup culture that they have worked so hard to create is not working for anyone. How are you guys confused that this is happening? That there's less people that want to be on your apps and there's less people fucking as a result of your apps? What are we talking about? You have ushered us into this sexless era. I also feel kind of critical of the use of the word celibacy within this context because it's really like the TikTokification of celibacy. We're not talking about people that have taken a vow of celibacy as in they are not having sex ever until marriage. We're talking about celibacy within the sense of like, oh, I'm someone that had sex, that had maybe a lot of sex and am now choosing not to anymore. And people are calling it going celibate, being a born again version, joining the nunnery, which I understand why people are doing. And I almost, it reads to me as like, a way to joke about the shame that you're feeling for choosing not to have sex. I just don't know that it's as big of a deal. I don't know. I think to me, the use of the word celibacy in this context almost serves to make it seem like a bigger deal than it actually is, as if it shouldn't be the default to encourage people to only have sex when they are comfortable to have sex versus just like pursuing sex because it is weird to not have sex after like a certain duration of time. I don't know. I feel like my choice to not have casual sex was rooted in a few different things. The first was just the realization that I don't think I ever really wanted to. I don't think I've ever been the type of person that like emotionally was interested in casual relationships. I think that I was flung into hookup culture and casual dating because of the apps. I think when I moved to New York when I was 18 and I downloaded these apps, I've talked before about how I was so like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and like trusting of everyone, and I didn't realize that there were gonna be people that went on a date with me just to like prime me to want to have sex with them. And so a lot of my like first dating experiences were me going out with people, having sex with them because I thought that was just like the natural progression of what we were doing. And meanwhile, I think we're developing emotionally and physically, and this is turning into something, and they saw it as being sexual, nothing else the whole time. And a lot of a lot. That's almost all of my early dating experiences in New York was like the same thing over and over again, where I would go on a date with someone thinking it was a date, and then it turns out that they were not ever looking for something serious and they only wanted to have casual sex, and it was almost like assumed that that was cool, or that that was like, I don't know, the purpose for the apps in the first place. And granted, I wasn't very good at communicating. I was 18 years old at the time, so I didn't do a good job of standing up for myself or saying what I wanted. I was like very scared of saying the wrong thing, or seeming like I was too much. And so saying what I wanted and being really clear about that was hard for me at the time, because I also was just like dying for affection and affirmation from anybody that I was desirable. But anyways, I think I got roped into like this world of casual sex because of that. And it's never really what I wanted. And I think the older that I got and the more I would like, I don't know, I think past a certain age, because there were years where I like would have casual sexual experiences and they were fun, but I just don't know if my introduction to dating had been different if I would have gone down that path in the first place. I'm not saying that all of my casual sexual experiences were bad. I'm just saying that I don't know that it was a choice I would have made if I wasn't like pushed into it, you know? And so there were a few years that I enjoyed it, and then there was a shift in me. And this was around the beginning of the pandemic, probably like, 2020, I guess. And then 2021, I did my year of no dating, which was me trying to get clearer on what it is that I wanted, and to also like build myself up a little bit and feel better, asking for what I wanted, working through some of my insecurities. I have that whole year documented. I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched those videos. But that was like a year of getting more in touch with what it is that I wanted, instead of what I thought that I should want, or what I had been offered, what I had accepted up until that point. And it was beautiful and wonderful and amazing. I've had sex once in the last 3 years. And I've had other people try to have sex with me, try to initiate sex with me. And I've said no every single time. Because I just think that after I was more aligned with what it is that I wanted, it felt so much clearer to me. Like when I really truly wanted to have sex and when I didn't. I think the truth is that it takes a while for sexual interest to build up for me with someone. It takes a lot of emotional trust and closeness, and it became really apparent to me when someone that I was going on dates with tried to initiate sex with me or to get sexual with me. And my body has such a clear reaction of like, nope, not interested. Don't want to do that. And it's just because it takes more time. I need more, and I want more of that security. I really crave that security. And to me, it's been like a really positive, affirming choice to be like, yeah, listen, I've got a vibrant sex life in that I'm a very sexual person, and it is explored on an individual level frequently. You know, I am someone that I would say I have a high sex drive, and that I'm very in touch with that side of myself. But in terms of sharing it with other people, I have boundaries in place now. And part of it is, again, like I said, just sort of being thrown into the world of hookup culture and having to work through how I felt about it and, learn my own boundaries over time. But I'm, trigger warning. Also, in the mix of this is the fact that I was assaulted. And that really changed my relationship with sex completely. Oh my God. And all of these things are mixed together, just in a big pot, and are the reason why being more protective of my sexuality has been a beautiful thing for me, a beautiful thing that's made me feel empowered. And it's not that I'm vowing not to have sex. I'm excited for when I have sex next. I would love to have sex, truly. But I want it to be with someone that makes me feel safe and secure and can actually help me enjoy sex, rather than sex being something that feels scary or stressful or traumatic. So yeah, obviously I'm pretty against shaming anyone that's choosing not to have sex for any reason. And I think that's an insane move for Bumble, a huge, massive company, to put up billboards shaming a huge population of people that use their app. The fact that they're literally acknowledging that they kind of don't give a shit if you're on the app or not, if you're not fucking. That the people that make their app so successful are the people that are going on that app to look for hookups, not people that are going on that app looking for love, which anybody that's used dating apps looking for genuine connections and relationships could have told you that. Oh my God. I mean, we all knew it, but it's like, it's crazy how they keep just shoving it right in our faces, how little they actually care about the people that are using their app genuinely. In the way the app was originally marketed to us, I don't know. It just is insane. No, I am not in the business of subjecting myself to emotional devastation for fun in pursuit of an orgasm. Like, that's not worth it to me. Bumble put up these billboards without considering the why behind women choosing not to have casual sex anymore. Bumble put up these billboards not considering that people aren't just choosing to take vows of celibacy because it sounds so fun and trendy and fuck having sex, as if people that are like choosing not to have sex are in some way shaming people that are just by simply existing. Like, you're not considering that the reason why so many women are choosing to engage in casual sex less is because of the violent culture around hookups that your fucking apps have created. What is wrong with you? Like, how? It's kind of insane to me that the people making these apps are seemingly not considering the like larger cultural impact they are having on the dating landscape and like intimacy in general. Or have you guys genuinely not fucking considered what part your app has had in changing the way that we're all interacting with each other, with intimacy? Did you not think there were going to be repercussions for gamifying the search for companionship and intimacy? Like, I'm sorry, you can go fuck yourself. It actually makes me want to scream, because it's like, okay, you're going to shame people that are choosing not to have sex without considering that you are the people that have ushered us into this era where hookup culture has become so fucking foul and vile to most women that we're just not willing to participate in it anymore. Also, these apps do a terrible job of punishing people that misbehave. Yeah, a fucking terrible job at punishing people that misbehave on their fucking apps. And honestly, I think it's too late to correct it. I don't know what the like next iteration of like dating technology is going to be, but dating apps as they are right now are not working. And I think they're dead. I've been, pretty neutral about dating apps for most of my time online. Like, I can see the value in them. I've been on Hinge as my dating app of choice. I'm not on Hinge anymore. I deleted my whole entire profile. And I've always been neutral on dating apps because, one, I've been on them myself. Two, I'm not into people speaking like they're better than dating apps or they're above it and like looking down on people that use it when it is such like a culturally relevant way to date at this given moment. But after having been on it for so long, now having been off the apps for basically a year, and with no plan to get back on them, I think I'm off dating apps forever. And I mean that. I think they're dying for real. They're going down, and I'm tap dancing on their grave. I just think it's too late to correct all the damage that they've done. I don't think there's any rebrand that would work for me with most of these major dating apps at this point. I know what your MO is, you know? I know what your goal is. I know why you're doing all this, why you're here, what makes you money. And I'm not willing to participate in the butchering of my own intimate life and emotional well-being for the profit of these fucking people that do not give a fuck about our dating lives. I just think that we need to go back to a time before dating apps existed, because dating apps are not for dating. And it's shitty to use them. It sucks. So, other things that are updated in this Bumble rebrand moment. Bumble has updated relationship types now. These are, let me read you what Bumble says the 5 relationship types are. Long-term relationship, fun casual dates, marriage, intimacy without commitment, life partner, or ethical non-monogamy. Yep, those are the 5 relationship types. What the fuck does fun casual dates mean? You know that there's going to be so many people that really are looking for intimacy without commitment, but they're going to put fun casual dates because it's so fucking obscure and non-specific that they can, I don't know, put their hands up and claim they didn't fucking know. Because this is the shit that pisses me off. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, fun casual dates are sort of implied, because absolutely nobody that is looking for a relationship is looking for a relationship on day one. Everyone who's looking for a long-term relationship is looking to start out by going on fun casual dates. I don't know why any of these apps would buy into that bullshit thinking of like anybody. I don't know. It's like this fear of intimacy and closeness that people have, where when you hear someone say, oh, I'm looking for a long-term relationship, there are some people that are always going to have the reaction of like, whoa, well, I just want to take things slow at first, as if that's not like a prerequisite to starting any relationship. Just because you're looking for a long-term relationship doesn't mean you're looking to rush into it or rush into it with just fucking anybody. Looking for a long-term relationship means you're looking to go on fun casual dates to start. So what's the fucking difference? Why are we feeding into this bullshit of like always having to make people be like, whoa, well, not that serious, not that emotional, not that invested? Why are we giving people more of these like saying something but not really saying anything ass ways to describe what it is they're looking for? It just seems absurd to me. Fun casual dates is such a non-specific relationship type. What the fuck do you mean by that? I can't. It irritates the hell out of me. And then also the Bumble CEO was talking about AI dating coaches being a thing they want to implement in the future, which would basically make it so that your AI dating coach was communicating with other AI dating coaches to set up the best matches for you, basically making dating apps hands off completely, which is dumb. I actually don't think that dating and finding the right person for you should feel that simplified. I don't think that it is good. I think it is a net negative to always have the next best AI perfectly matched person right around the corner. That's insane. That is insane. Oh my God. It's bleak. It's bleak. And I can't imagine that these apps understand what the general population thinks about their apps if that's the path they're going down. They're going to go down the path of AI dating coaches that basically do the whole thing for you. You guys are brain rotted. You are brain rotted. I can't. So, anyways, I think that's all I have to say about the Bumble rebrand for now. I'm sure I will think of more things to talk about within this, but it's just insane. And I am preying on the downfall of all the dating apps. You're all next to me, okay? Every last one of you is on my hit list. I'm deciding it. I'm over it. I'm over it, and blame Bumble, because they really nailed the final nail in the coffin for you. I just think it's done. We're done with this. It's over. Wrap it up. Send them home. right, let's get into some audience submissions before I wrap things up here. As a reminder, audience submission box is always open. I go through it every week, so feel free to submit any and all of your musings with me. Anything you want to talk about. First up, I have a follow-up to the Am I the Asshole karaoke situation that we talked about 2 weeks ago, that I just wanted to touch on really quickly here. They have followed up and they said, the joke was supposed to be on me. The joke was in the absurdity of someone taking karaoke so seriously. It was iffy to begin with, but I didn't think the joke would miss the mark to the point of offending someone. It was clear in my head, but I'm now realizing how convoluted and mean it was. I wouldn't make a joke like that again. I was the asshole. The anger I'm working through is essentially a sensitivity to being misunderstood. We know that I was the asshole, but can we also know that wasn't my intention? I'm hurt that someone would think I intended to hurt another person. I'm not trying to absolve myself. Impact matters much more than intent. I need to and will apologize. Am I even allowed to feel hurt when, unintended or not, the blame is on me? Or does feeling hurt just make me manipulative in some sense? Thank you for your response last week. Thanks in advance if you respond again this week. You've helped me gain some much needed insight. Well, first of all, let me just say I thought this was a great response. Thanks for updating me, because I love a little update. I love continuing on what we've already talked about. And I think it's awesome that you were able to look at what you've said, look at the joke you made and be like, you know what? Yeah, I was the asshole here. I messed up. Impact matters more than intent. And although I didn't intend to hurt someone's feelings, and maybe in your head it was more a joke on you for taking karaoke so seriously, it didn't hit that way. And that's totally fine. And all you can do is take accountability for it and move on. Listen, people make mistakes. We make bad jokes all the time. There is not going to be a day that comes where you make one bad joke and now you are like an irredeemable person because of this. I totally understand how being misunderstood or misrepresenting yourself accidentally can feel stressful and like shake you a little bit and make you feel more sensitive. Just wondering, like, I don't know, it's hard to misrepresent yourself or feel misunderstood and know within yourself that that's not your heart and that was not your intention. But now it's like, well, how do I make the people that I hurt really believe that that wasn't my intention and see me the way that I like intended to be seen? Totally. It can be uncomfortable and it can feel like hard to sit with, but I think that all you can do when you mess up, you make a shitty joke, you hurt someone's feelings, and you know, there's really no way around it, whether it was the intention or not. Like, it is what it is and it happened, and all you can do is take full accountability for that and apologize for that. I don't think there's any use in like policing your own feelings. I think it's fair to feel like some level of discomfort when your own actions aren't in perfect alignment with what your heart feels, or you unintentionally do something that represents you in a way that you wish it didn't. That's okay for it to make you feel uncomfortable, right? But I think we just have to sort of sit with that feeling, acknowledge that it's there, and focus on what really matters, which is apologizing and making it up to the people that you hurt. Sometimes sitting with our own mistakes can feel uncomfortable. We just can't make it about us, right? It's fine that those feelings exist, though. There's nothing wrong with them. And I think it's completely fair. But I think that you are already doing the right thing by acknowledging that it was a mistake and a bad call on your part. And like, hats off to you for doing the self-reflection, because so many people can't even get to that point. So I wouldn't beat yourself up for it too much. Like, we all make mistakes. Shit happens. We say stupid things sometimes. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you an irredeemable person. And I really hope that you guys are able to work through this as friends and get to the other side of it. And, you know, hats off to you for submitting it in the first place and for seeking feedback from, you know, people outside of your immediate social circle. It's definitely like a hard thing to do in the first place. So I think you'll be okay. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much for it. So I think you'll be okay. All we can do is just live and learn here a little bit. But thanks for submitting. And I really hope that you guys are able to figure out whatever comes next with as little friction as possible. Hello, Maddie. I recently got out of a year's worth of therapy and I was honestly left feeling a little defeated. I didn't really feel like I came out of it with any particular positive outcomes or even just any better insight. This is the third time in my life that I've spoken to some kind of counselor, although this one was the only one fully licensed psychologist and by far spanned the longest time. In short, I felt like she didn't really get to know me as a person and hyper-focused on one aspect of my life without sufficiently acknowledging other problems I brought up. Every session felt kind of isolated and not as if we were working towards a larger goal. I wish I had gotten more guidance. I raised these issues with her on 3 separate occasions, but didn't see any change. Ultimately, I recognized that we simply weren't a good fit, but I can't help wondering if I'm the problem, if I'm not going into therapy with the right mindset, or if I'm being too stubborn. So many people that I respect and look up to, both in my personal life and online, including yourself, often speak about how important therapy is in their life and how everyone can benefit from it. I really want to believe that, but after my own experiences, like I said, I'm feeling a little defeated. I haven't entirely given up hope, though. So here I turn to you and want to ask if you could share your experiences with therapy in as much or little detail as you feel comfortable. How do you determine whether a therapist is a good match for you? How do you set goals/aims for what you want to get out of therapy? What mindset do you find beneficial when going into therapy? Are there situations where you're better off stepping away from therapy for a while? I know everyone's journey is so unique, but I would love to hear your perspective. So I started going to therapy when I was in college, and I have had 3 therapists since then. Believe it or not, I used to be someone that was very resistant to therapy, and that largely came from a place of me feeling like I didn't want to take up time that someone else could have. I was always minimizing my problems and being like, other people have it worse. Other people are struggling more than I am. I don't want to take up anyone's time or like bore this therapist with having to listen to my body image issues and like my self-confidence issues in dating. Like it felt so trivial to me to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to a therapist and talk about my body and my dating life. What the fuck? Which obviously I don't agree with now, but my like younger early college self very much was like, just felt like guilty about going to therapy. Like I was taking up someone else's time that could have been given to someone who needed it more. I eventually did start going to therapy in college, pushed past these ways of thinking with the encouragement of my best friends who were in therapy. So I started seeing a therapist, and almost immediately I kind of was like, what the fuck is this? It was almost like fueling everything that I had said before. Like, I don't need to be here. This time can be better served for someone else. And then when I was going to therapy and I wasn't getting much out of it, I felt like I was like, see, I didn't need to be here. And like, maybe this would work for someone, but it's not going to work for me. And looking back on it now, I think my first therapist was just kind of a bad therapist. Maybe she would be good for someone, but I actually don't know that. I don't know that she would be good for someone. I just don't think she was very good at her job. I didn't really love my first therapist because I felt like every time I walked in there, we would start talking, and then I would speak for like 5 straight minutes. And then I would stop and she'd just be like, keep going. And she'd just nod. And it would be like the whole session was really just me talking. And she wouldn't really ever offer me valuable insight in return. And I was like, this isn't helpful to me. I'm not someone that has a hard time talking. I'm not someone that has a hard time opening my mouth in the first place to discuss these things. I can talk about my problems on a loop. You know, I've got no problem bringing it up. I discuss it with fucking everyone in my personal life. There's no part of me that feels like it's hard to talk about my feelings. Talking about my feelings is easy. I need someone to help me like sort through them and ask me good questions so that I can have meaningful reflections on my own. Finding a therapist that like asks you the right questions to trigger reflections within yourself is really what I needed and what I have now found. But I was with that first therapist for like 6 months and I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm getting nothing out of this. I'm just going there and talking and she's basically nodding at me and just like, go on, say more. And I was always just like, but I need feedback from you. I need to know. I just need more to work on and more to reflect on. I wanted more to sit with. And I just felt like she never really gave me much to think about, which, yeah, it sucked. And so then after her, I wasn't in therapy for years. Because it was just like so complicated to get a therapist. The process of getting a therapist is the primary reason why I haven't been in therapy since that first therapist. I think I would have loved to immediately jump to a different therapist and try it out, but finding someone that was compatible with my insurance was just like an absolute fucking mess. And it still is, but it's just we muscle through. And also I now have like a budget for mental health. So that helps as well. So I eventually started seeing my second therapist because my doctor's office started offering therapy through the doctor's office. So I was like, oh, this is great. I already do my primary care and my gynecology through this office. So let me just sign up to do therapy with them as well. So I got paired with a therapist based on like a survey that I submitted, and I loved my second therapist. My second therapist was wonderful. She was so thoughtful and so understanding and asked me so many good questions. And then this is when I like learned to love therapy, because when you're with the right person, it can feel very fun. Like I'm someone that I love talking about my feelings. It really is enjoyable to me. I love reflecting and like getting really into it emotionally with someone and like sitting and just like talking something out, sorting it out in my brain, like being able to put all my thoughts and feelings in neat boxes inside my head is just like hugely awesome to me. And so I started really loving therapy through this new therapist. And I was with her for like a year and a half, probably. The only reason I stopped seeing that therapist is because she stopped being offered through my doctor's office. She like left the practice and went somewhere else, and my insurance wasn't compatible at that point. I don't know. Complicated. But I had to switch therapists at that point, and my next therapist, my third therapist, was recommended by my second therapist. So my second therapist knew other therapists that practiced at my doctor's office, and she personally recommended me to one that she thought that I would be a good fit with, given my everything that she knew about me at that point. And that is my current therapist, who I've been with for almost 2 years now. And I love her. She is awesome. I think that for me, yeah, it's about having a therapist that knows what questions to ask you and that knows how to like bring out important reflections within you. So many of like my like aha moments in therapy have been from questions that therapists have asked me. They've asked me a question and I've just sat there talking and been like, and you know what, this makes me think of this, and then I put it together myself. And it's so awesome when moments like that happen, because I'm like, oh, that was like just the question I needed to hear. And that's like their whole job, is to ask you the right questions and get you thinking about things in a different way. They're not going to lay it all out for you or tell you how you should feel. They're going to ask you the right questions so that you can decide how you feel for yourself. And those have been awesome, awesome moments. And I also think that I prefer a younger therapist. And I think that largely has to do with like the types of things that I talk about in therapy. My first therapist was much older and I just didn't feel like we connected really. But my second and my third therapist were both only a few years older than me, which I have enjoyed. My current therapist is like 3 years older than me, I think. And I think it's great. I love having a younger therapist. Especially when so much of what I talk about is like talking about the internet and like my career and emotionally handling all of it, receiving feedback from people, body image stuff, that is fueled by the internet. I don't know. It just feels like it makes more sense to talk to someone younger. Also with like dating stuff, talking about that, like it just, people that are younger, I just tend to feel more like we're on the same page. We feel understood. I'm sure there is great wisdom in seeing a therapist that is older than you, but I think more than anything, I search for like understanding than I do like wisdom. I don't need my therapist to tell me what I need to feel. I need them to ask me the right questions so that I can come to my own conclusions. And I think that young therapists have just been good for me for that reason. But anyways, yes, I think so much of having a good experience in therapy and having a productive experience in therapy is finding the right match for you. If my only experience in therapy was with my first therapist, I would not have such a high opinion of going to therapy and how valuable it can be in people's lives. Also, I don't think that you need to be in therapy forever necessarily, though I do believe that some of us benefit from being in therapy consistently. I don't know how long I'll be in therapy for. I foresee myself being in therapy for a long time, though. I don't know. I just know that I'm a very anxious person. Perhaps those of us with like mental health diagnoses should be in therapy longer term than other people are. I just can't picture myself not needing that support, not needing someone to help me sort through my thoughts. But who knows? Maybe there will come a day where I am in a more like secure place and I'm like running out of things to talk about in therapy. But I think we're, some years away from that happening. So yeah, I think there can come a time where you can take a break from therapy. You don't have to be in it 24/7, but I foresee therapy being a important part of my life forever. If I'm in it weekly for the next 5 years and then maybe I take a break for 6 months and then come back to it, or whatever, I'll follow what feels good for me. But I just have a feeling that I'm going to continue to see great value in having like dedicated space to reflect and heal and like chat through what I'm feeling. I don't think there's ever going to come a time in life where I don't see value in that, no matter how secure I am in the now, right? Because I think there's always emotions coming up and I can know how to handle them myself and like how to process them, but still just enjoy having that hour of time baked into my schedule where I can get like a professional opinion and talk through it to an audience of someone who is very qualified to listen to what I'm talking about. So I don't know. That's sort of where I sit with it. I think the process of finding the right therapist for you is hard and requires some trial and error. And also, like, you don't have to force something to work if it's not working. If you're seeing a therapist for like 3-4 sessions and you don't feel like you're getting anything out of it, perhaps it's not a good fit. Like, I feel like with both of my therapists that I have loved, I have felt that I enjoyed and got something out of our sessions from like the first 2. I think after the first 2, when we had like some kind of baseline for what it is I was going to be talking about, or we got to talk about something more current that was happening and they helped me have a good reflection, I feel like that happened in like the first 2 sessions. And then I was like, okay, that felt productive. That felt good. I hung up the phone call being like, yeah, okay, I've got things to think about. I've got things to journal about. Sometimes it takes longer, but I just, in my head, I'm like, if I saw someone for 4 sessions and I didn't feel like we had any kind of back and forth or, I don't know, therapist-patient connection going on, I would probably try someone else. I really do think it's worthwhile though, but I get that it is like a very emotionally draining process finding the right match for you. So I get it. It's tough, but I really hope that you'll consider trying out therapy again and seeing if it could be helpful to you, because I think that with the right therapist, it could be like so life-changing. It was for me. All right, I am running late. I was supposed to leave my house about 15 minutes ago to go to an event with my friend Jordan. So Jordan, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry that I'm probably going to be a little late. I love you so much. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you next week. And be sure, remember to get in there and submit your Yearning Girl worldwide song suggestions. Link to the submission box will be in the description down below. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.